How's it going? What's happening?
Oh, it's going pretty well. I literally just wrapped up filming for the night, just still pretty late for me, but you know, sometimes you gotta burn the candle at both ends.
I know it all too well. Besides troubleshooting fucking Zoom before we got on air, I was editing pretty much till we got on.
Yeah, I know that hell. It's like everyone's like, owning your own business sounds amazing, and you're like, yeah, I know, my boss is terrible.
So true. Like, owning your own business is great if you decide to procreate in future generations when they get to benefit from it. The first generation of owning the business, a little bit of work. Just a little.
Mm-hmm, just a little bit. So the first time you realized that doing your taxes was way more complicated than you realized, and you're like, it's fine. I can just Google this. It's cool. I can do it all myself. And then you're like, 2 days before taxes are due, you're like, I should have gotten a CPA.
What do you mean I got to do this shit quarterly? What do you mean?
What are projected estimated? I don't even know. How am I supposed to know what I'm going to make? Yeah.
Right. Especially as a working creative, like, how are you supposed to predict that?
You don't. The best thing that I've actually been able to do is to pay myself a consistent salary so that I can just pay my projected taxes and then just pay the business's taxes at the end of the year. That way also that I don't ever want to get a refund back from the IRS. I'm not going to give them my money and hope they give me back the right amount.
I'm right there with you. I'm sad. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I'm just real salty when it comes to the IRS in general.
In your line of work, not surprising in the least bit. They're not known to be too kind to sex workers or entrepreneurs in general.
That's true. Although the financial discrimination that sex workers experience doesn't happen to literally any other industry, as evidenced by the latest stuff with MasterCard, which blew a huge hole in our world for a while.
Yeah, it's absolutely fucking garbage.
It's garbage.
You're doing work that is legal. Like, drug dealers have an easier time opening bank accounts.
They sure do. Actually, literally everyone else does. And it doesn't matter how many different ways you try to legitimize yourself. Like, for example, I bought my first house this year. And, when I first went to get a loan, I was like, it's cool. Look, I have a successful business and like all this, evidence of it and blah, 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 blah. And they turned around and said, you don't qualify for traditional loan. We're going to have to send you to a high risk loan. I was like, my credit's amazing. I make good money. Why are you sending me to high risk? And they're like, yeah, well, based on your profile, we just can't do that. And it was gonna cost me somewhere in the ballpark of 17 to 18% to get this loan. So I decided to wait. I waited an entire year. I cleaned up all my taxes. I created, some kind of shell areas for my business so that it would kind of protect what we did, and paid myself a flat salary. When I paid myself a salary, it meant that I didn't have to submit my business as verification, for my house. And they turned around and were like, "Oh yeah, you look great. Here you go. You got 2.3%." I was like, "Fuck you guys," But it is what it is. I mean, literally every sex worker I know has lost a bank account or been kicked off a platform or something like that. And they're like, "What are you going to do if you get banned from every financial institution? You're just going to put your money in a mattress, hope that you can pay things online?" It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, at that point, it's just like you're going to have to marry someone else who's got a civilian job just to be your front.
Yep, 100% actually. We call them our sex worker beards. Yeah, it's the it's the muggle that can be the face of don't look where the money comes from. Look at this very good upstanding citizen. Yeah, exactly.
It's so fucking wild because it's so many politicians make use of sex workers. On top of that, you'd think right.
Everybody makes use of sex workers. I think there are now well over 1 million new creators on OnlyFans, and that is a 400%, I believe, increase than it was the previous 3 years. I don't know if they know it, but this is a pretty large constituent now. it's a pretty large demographic. They're not going to be able to ignore us for very long.
They're going to try. They're going to fucking try.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we live in weird puritanical America.
All during the pandemic, I was one hangnail away from moving to New Zealand. I must have looked up at least 50 times the actual process and how much money it was going to take and like what I could do. Because I was like, well, they see me as a human being over there.
Why New Zealand?
Well, New Zealand's super progressive. You know, they have a female prime minister. Sex work is decriminalized and held in, you know, it's not held in like a huge position of honor, but it's considered to be, you know, regular labor that's protected. There's all kinds of, you know, rules and laws that like help to protect any marginalized classes. You know, like last time I was there, would be a strip club right next to a restaurant, and nobody thought it was seedy. It was just like, like it would be no different than a hair salon or anything else. And actually, when I was talking to a lady, I think in Queenstown, I don't usually tell people what I do when I travel because I don't want to have that awkward conversation. But she asked me what I did. And it was like the last couple of days, and she says, and I was like, yeah, I'm a dominatrix, and you know, I'm a fetish video producer. And she's like, wow, that's really awesome. Actually, I'm really trying. I'm trying to go to school for blah blah blah, sex related. And I was like, wow, I'm not used to getting a positive reception from telling people what I do. And she goes, oh yeah, no, like sex workers are considered to be a valuable part of society here. Like, you know, no more like school teachers or, you know, like construction workers or anybody else. And I almost cried. I was like, really? Okay. You know, like that shouldn't be a thing that we should have to deal with, but New Zealand does a pretty good job.
That's awesome. They don't have the problems like Australia does where it's like, oh, actual in-person sex work's legal and pornography is illegal. They don't have that problem, right?
No, everything is decriminalized. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that New Zealand doesn't have that large of a population. So it's a little easier to, you know, take care of a smaller population. No. But they also have a mandatory percentage of their government that has to be Indigenous. And as a person who is Indigenous, that also feels pretty nice because I would love if, I don't know, even 1 or 2 seats in our house were mandatory, had to be Native Americans, because that'd be great considering that you stole our land, not you specifically, but white people stole our land. And we don't even get any representation about it. So, you know, it's just New Zealand made me feel welcomed in a way that no other country has.
Nice. I know you lived in France for a time as well.
I did. I lived in Paris for 6 months. I got out of a really terrible marriage, a very abusive marriage, and I decided that I wanted to try to put as much distance between my ex and I as I could. And I was like, I'll put a fucking ocean between us. And I haven't really traveled much until then, except for work. And so I went on a solo backpacking tour through Europe and decided by the end of it that I was going to move to Paris. I didn't know anything. I didn't know any French. I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I was like, you know what? It sounds like a great adventure. And I did. And I did my whole 6-month visa, decided that Paris wasn't exactly as magical as I thought. But it was a great adventure anyway.
Hey, that's amazing. And the willingness to fucking do that, because, you know, so many fucking Americans just never leave America.
I know, and it's so sad. What's the coolest place you've been?
Tokyo's my happy place as my whole audience groans.
Oh, I want to go to. I was actually supposed to be in Japan this year, and also last year, and the trip keeps getting pushed off, obviously from the pandemic, and I just can't fucking wait. How many times have you been?
Twice. Tokyo.
Twice?
Been to, yeah, and I've never made it out of Tokyo because there's just so much fucking going on.
Oh yeah.
I talk about this on air so often. That's why I said my audience just was like, oh, no, here we go again.
Well, I haven't heard it, so go ahead.
No, it's just, Tokyo is absolutely just a magical fucking place. From the food being amazing, the architecture just being like nothing else you see anywhere in the fucking world, and then just the societal norms there are so fucking different. It's like, oh, hey, I go to a major train station and there's hundreds of bikes unlocked because people just don't steal here. Mm-hmm. Well, in the traditional sense, you definitely have to worry about getting drugged in a bar and getting your credit cards maxed. But Those are only certain bars.
It's going to be risk aware, right?
Oh, on the first trip, me and my buddy ran into some expats that were over there, and they're like, "Hey, if you are in Roppongi, do not go with the guys barking for the bars. They're going to take you to a bar that will fucking drug you and max out your credit cards." But in the grand scheme of things, if I'm traveling abroad and that's the worst thing I got to worry about, not too worried.
I love it.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that one yet, and I've got a lot of friends who keep talking to me about going to Japan. In fact, my brother is he is in the Navy, and he got stationed there right before the pandemic hit. And so I'm like, cool, I got a place to stay as long as you don't annoy me too much.
Is he down in Okinawa or?
Yeah, he's in Okinawa.
Yeah, from what I understand, this is a Tokyo thing. This is just and it's only certain bars.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
And it's bars that are, catering to dudes looking for girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that are.
Well, that's a little sketch.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as much as Japan's an amazing place, they also rate as a third world country for sex trafficking. So it's
I've heard that too. I mean, but that is unfortunately the case when it comes to lots of very highly developed countries with high technology, because it makes it easier for people to go under the radar. At least that's my understanding of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, you hear horror stories about women having their passports taken by the Yakuza, and
Mm-hmm.
they're brought there on legitimate visas for modeling gigs and shit like that, and it's
Yep. Although it's much more likely to be trafficked for manual labor than it is for sex trafficking. Actually, it's funny you say that, because I got into a bit of I wouldn't call it a debate. Debate sounds like it would be intellectual. A discussion this morning with some swerfs, the sex work exclusive radical feminist people, and their favorite thing to do is to quote sex trafficking as the reason why prostitution is bad. And it was I don't think you understand how this works,
Nope.
But it was some days you wake up and you have to choose violence. That's very seldom for me, at least when it comes to arguing with strangers online. But today was that day.
You fuck them up.
I mean, I feel logically I rubbed their noses in it, but it was one of those things that you realize the person's really too dumb to understand that you've owned them, and you're like, okay, it's cool, I'm just going to mute you. I don't even block them, because I don't want to give them satisfaction of feeling like they may have gotten my goat or anything. I just mute them. I'm like, nah, you don't exist to me. Cool.
This is the best thing Twitter ever rolled out with. Muting people is the absolute fucking best. Hands
down, that one, and turning off retweets. I don't know if you've used this one, but there is this thing that that sex workers do on Twitter, which I totally understand where it comes from. And, I applaud the effort, which is where people with larger followings will retweet a bunch of stuff from other people, other girls who have less followings. It's a way to, help boost their stuff. But the problem is they don't do it strategically. They just sit there and spam them one after another. And I open my feed and I'm like, what are all these assholes looking at me? Whose vaginas are these? I don't have a relationship with this vagina yet. So, can you please get it off my feed? I didn't want to do this.
See, I have the polar opposite effect where it's just oh, that's a hot asshole. Wait a minute. Do I follow that? Oh, should I be following that asshole?
See, well, you know what? Then you are the intended audience. That's perfect.
I guess I am. But sometimes I don't follow up on it. I'll see it and be like, oh, she's hot, I should follow. And then I'll doom scroll and be like, oh, I lost that asshole. It's lost to the seas of time. Whoops.
Well, you have to wait for the next one to come around.
Yeah. It'll eventually float back to my island.
I love it.
That asshole. I miss it.
You know what? One of the things that I think the OnlyFans revolution has done for women is probably somewhat unexpected, which is that more and more and more, sex workers on OnlyFans, obviously content creators on OnlyFans, are posting not so great photos of themselves, more realism photos than the more, Reach Touch Pro stuff that someone like me does. And I think that it really has done a lot for women to see that there is a huge variety of body types and like, and shapes and sizes and like, oh, like, did you know that like vaginas all look different and like, no, like assholes aren't all bleached and porn assholes are definitely bleached. And I think it helps a lot for the average woman's self-confidence.
Yeah, it's undoing a lot of the damage Instagram does.
No shit. But you can't put your butthole on Instagram.
I know. I don't know why Mark Zuckerberg hates assholes so much.
It's probably because he doesn't have one of his own.
Oh, you angered the Zuck. Your mic's attacking you.
I know. Shut up, Zuckerberg. I think it's because Zuckerberg doesn't have an asshole of his own. He's just an android. He doesn't eat or drink or anything. He just exists.
His wife has to press the algorithm to like get him to pleasure her. Like, all right, we're going to do sex operation number 1 tonight, Mark. Okay.
Okay. Yes, whatever you say, dear. Although I'm sure you know this, Facebook, Instagram, all of them used to allow porn when they first started.
Oh, I'm sure they're all about it. He was a horny college student at that point before, like, he got his mind transferred into that robot. I'm sure he was a human boy once. He's the reverse Pinocchio.
It's also just because, like, porn and like adult content builds a platform faster than anything else. And then once you're big enough that you don't need the porn anymore, then it's too dangerous. And you're like, nah, all right, later, gals. We don't need you anymore. I mean, R.I.P. Tumblr.
OnlyFans dip their toes in that water for like half a second. They're like, whoa, we made a mistake here. Our bad.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if you saw the real reason for that step back is that the one shareholder of OnlyFans was trying to cash out, and he had secured a couple of venture capitalists to buy him out. And most VCs have morality clauses in their contracts. So he was like, oh, no. It's not going to be a porn site anymore. We're going to make it nice and clean. We have all of these these influencers and like celebrities and blah, blah, blah,
we
blah.
have Bella Thorne. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got Cardi B, And then so what happened was he didn't actually release the demographic statistics of the site and how much of the site was adult. So when they released that, the valuation tanked. And he wasn't going to get the percentage of the shares that he was going to want to get. And he was like, okay, guys, we're doing porn again because no one's going to pay me for this. But I think it'll probably happen again in somewhere in the next couple of years because he's trying to get out of that.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. And I don't know what VC in the world was like, yeah, OnlyFans. Yeah, they're a legit influencer site. Like, who with that kind of money actually had to see the numbers to think, oh yeah, this is not a porn site.
I mean, somebody has to probably had to talk a good talk. I don't know. Like maybe there was talk of like spinning off the adult from the the mainstream. I don't know. Like it always seems stupid to me in general, but I don't know what goes behind closed doors. I don't know if they're sucking each other's dicks or not.
True. But like the valuation, even if say in some weird world that only 25% of their income was porn, it's still a huge company, and that 25% is millions of dollars. Like,
oh yeah, many millions of dollars.
What VC is going to be like? Yeah, we're cool with you just getting rid of like multi-millions on this valuation. It's cool. It's what?
Yeah.
It was just one of the most baffling decisions I've ever fucking seen. It's like the tube sites being like, you know what? We're just going to become a direct competitor for YouTube. We're ditching all this pornography. See how it goes.
Okay. All right. I mean, Pornhub got in hot water though last year for the same thing. Like one of the things that so I know how much you know about me, but I've been doing this a really long time, and I think I'm coming up on 18 years. And there's lots of people who've just gotten into the industry in the last couple of years, because now sex work is, it's trendy, it's cool, it's like, it's edgy. And a lot of these girls are finding out that like, oh, the stuff with Pornhub, oh, the stuff with OnlyFans, oh, the stuff with MasterCard. And the thing is the sky is always falling in sex work, like always. Legitimately, there's always some new chaos. Admittedly, this year's chaos was, especially the one with MasterCard, was a much bigger cyclone than I had seen before. But this stuff happens all the time. One processor comes up, another site falls. Like, like there's this drama, that drama, and like.
On paper, what MasterCard was asking for wasn't even all that unreasonable. It was a lot of a scapegoating from OnlyFans on that. Because I went and read and the thing about it is they posted those rules back in fucking April that they were going to implement them. Like, OnlyFans was completely scapegoating them on that shit.
Oh, absolutely. The bigger problem, honestly, in that was that it was destabilizing the clip platforms, mostly because the requirements for manual compliance are unreasonable for smaller platforms. So I also I watch clips for sale. I mean, and again, I've been a top store on most of these sites for a long time. And so I know the CEOs and I'm, I know the teams and stuff. I watched Clips for Sale, who got bought by Centro earlier this year, actually start to put things in place for their compliance. I want Clips, on the other hand, I'm sure they were working on some of this stuff, but when October 15th came around and the switchover happened, it looked like a clusterfuck. So the real thing that happened to so many sex workers is that they couldn't sell their content on the platforms they needed to sell their content on. If you were OnlyFans, you didn't really have to worry about it, but no one's just OnlyFans anymore.
True. And it's unfortunate that these smaller sites, it is the economic feasibility of having a live person review everything that's going up is pretty fucking rough. Oh,
it's the entire teams now. But I know the amount of money that these sites are making, and it's a fucking lot. It's not quite OnlyFans money, but it's a lot, and they've been making it for a really long time. So
yeah, a lot of times it is their fault for not, because it's not like MasterCard implemented this shit overnight. They had time to try to roll these teams out.
Yeah.
So it is some misplaced blame, but it's still fucked up.
It's the only thing that's fucked up is that MasterCard's doing it in response to religious groups.
Well, yeah, because fuck Exodus Cry.
None of the actual, yeah, fuck Exodus Cry. It's not actually the requests were not unreasonable because everybody wants to do away with underage porn and child pornography and all that stuff,
and revenge porn and all that shit too. Yeah,
and revenge porn, all of that, right? No one in the industry wants to do it with any of that. But the porn sites, Pornhub included, are not the biggest offenders by far of these things. The biggest offenders are Facebook and YouTube and Reddit and things like this, of which that no one has implemented a single thing to deal with it. Not one. I think the FBI reported something like 40 million reports of child pornography on Facebook in 1 year. There's not even 40 million videos, I think, on Pornhub.
The problem is it's harder for them to deal with because there's not money changing hands for them to see it. It's just there.
Right. And so if the idea is that the payment processors are the ones who have to police the industry, maybe there's something going wrong there. Because we don't ask our banks to make morality decisions for the rest of our lives, right?
Right.
Your bank doesn't call you and says, "Do you really want to take that next trip? Are you really going to Thailand for all the right reasons?" No, they're just cool. Take your ticket, go away.
They have called me a couple times and been like, "Is that bar tab fraud?"
Okay, all right, Spill. What's the most you've ever spent at a bar before?
Oh shit! At a straight bar, I mean, 400 or 500 maybe. Nothing crazy. I'm not some insane baller.
Okay, so not the worst thing.
No.
Popping bottles in the crib or whatever the fuck.
I'm not. One, I hate nightclubs. Two, I'm only going to fucking a club that's having bottle service, and I'm bottle ratting off someone else. I have never paid for bottle service in my life. I never intend to because I hate fucking nightclubs. Get me in a dingy dive bar where I can drink, whiskey on the rocks all fucking night.
And not have to pay a 500% premium for the alcohol. I know.
Exactly.
That's one of the things I look at some of the prices and I understand that the markup is where the club's making money and stuff, but I'm like, I could have smuggled this in and drank it for $40 versus the $500 that you want to do this for. But
it's the prestige of having the table and, girls bringing a bottle out with sparklers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
Listen, I have been the VIP guest at AVN and these nightclubs so many times. I'm going to tell you what, I am so over it. Like having my face marqueed across the walls and the people are all thumping and doing all the things. And I'm sitting here going, I have to be up at 10 a.m. to shoot tomorrow. Can I go now? Have you taken all the pictures yet? Okay, now smile. Okay, here's more pictures. All right. Yay, I really want to be here. I want to go home and go to sleep. There's just a onesie waiting for me in my room.
Can I have my check, please? Please, can I have my check?
Yeah.
Please.
Oh, it's not even a check. Like, we're not paying for anything. That's the crazy thing. It's like we're always
no. The check of them paying you.
Oh, yes, exactly. Can I get? Thanks.
My money. I would. Don't know if you're aware how I got it. I got in being a roadie, like going with features and shit like that, and working in the convention circuit with people. So I've been around for over a decade at this point. So I'm, nice. been the guy at those club events. Like, okay, she's got to go. Can we get paid?
Yes. You're the handler.
I've done that job multiple times. Like, okay, you need to make the check out to this LLC, and we got to go.
Mm-hmm. We really value people like you a great deal. It also means that you get invited to stuff that other people won't get invited to because you're the person who facilitates things being easygoing. Yeah,
that's the idea. I have fucked that up a couple times. There are a couple very unhappy clients out there, and that's completely my fault. Completely my fault. There's definitely one performer who I really fucked up doing that job for at AVN 14, and she is still mad at me to this day. So,
aw.
5 a.m. drunk decisions. It's on me.
Yep.
I also shouldn't have been working for someone who hired me because she wanted to fuck me. And now that you're paying me, that's not going to happen.
Oh no. Yeah. That is one of the unfortunate things about the adult industry is that, lots of performers fuck their friends and nobody really thinks anything of it. But still mixing professional relationships and personal relationships does get tricky, even if you're in porn. So, good for you for staying away from it.
If we were just friends, yeah, I would have put out. But the minute you're a client, I'm like, no, that leads to me not getting paid for this weekend. And AVN's not cheap.
It also just makes things messy. It's like I say, don't get into business with friends. It's the same thing. My right hand, my head of operations, and also my handler at AVN for many years, is Des, who is a 4'11", non-binary cryptid, who is full of snark, and honestly is the only person who keeps me in line. So I can totally understand, but as much as I love Des, I couldn't imagine a worse situation than getting drunk and being like, "Hey, do you want to make out?" No, that would be terrible. I don't want to. I've spent so many years perfecting this beautiful relationship. They'll make it weird.
Yeah. This was the first outing with this client, so I fucked it up from pretty much the jump. I fucked it up on Wednesday night of AVN 14.
Oh shit. Well, there'll be more years to redeem yourself.
Oh yeah, no, it's fine. It's absolutely fine, and I'm happy not working for her again. It literally, she had met me when I was working for someone else at Exotica Chicago, the previous year, and was like, told my friend that I was working for, like, oh, he's cute. And then, oh, he works for people? Yeah, I'll hire him for ABN. I'm like, well, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll take the gig. And then, because, I was drunk at 5 a.m. and brought someone else back to the room, shit went sideways.
Whoops.
Yeah, the
Whoops.
bad 5 a.m. drunk decisions for me at ABN. Yeah. These things happen.
You have to wait till Sunday.
It probably still would have been bad because we were driving back to LA together. So it probably still would have
been. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of, go ahead, finish.
No, go ahead. I had nothing really relevant to add there. I promise.
I was going to say, so speaking of conferences and expos and all of those things, one of the new things I have in the works, and we're going to be announcing it very soon, is I am helping to put on with 2 other amazing educators the first professional development conference for sex workers.
Awesome.
It is the Erotic Entrepreneurs Conference. We're starting with a digital version this spring. Actually, it'll be in March, mostly because of the pandemic, but we will be an in-person conference the following year. And it is going to be no clients, no fans, none of that stuff. It is literally just come learn how to make more money, own your business, become the person you've always wanted to be and be supported by your peers. And I can't wait for it. We've needed this for so long. I can't tell you how much.
That's awesome. Learn how to set up your shell companies.
Yep. Learn how to do your taxes. Learn how to light yourself properly on camera. I'm one of the things that I've struggled, previously in the past and kind of found my lane in was wanting to give back to the industry, because I got lucky. I got lucky because I was like, I got in early, I helped to create a niche of porn that didn't really have anybody else in it at the time. And I probably wouldn't be half as successful if I had started now as in when I started then. So I try to give back some of my luck as much as I can there.
That's fucking awesome. And it's neat. It's been a topic of conversation on the show multiple times. There is no porn 101. People get in.
There will be now.
Hell yeah. Because people get thrown in the fucking deep end, and people like your agents and your publicists should have your best interests at heart, but they're not. You're a product that they're selling. That's it. They don't expect you to stick around more than 6 months.
And that's if you have an agent, if you have a publicist, it's becoming the wave of independent content creators, independent producers, the model producer. And, sometimes you're a one-man show, one woman show, one Cylon show in my case.
Yeah. And people don't know what the
It's good night if I'm making a Battlestar Galactica reference. So
I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot.
What are you saying?
These are all things that performers need to be educated on, especially people that don't have a peer group or someone that they can learn from on set. Hopefully a newer performer that's working a mainstream set would meet people and hopefully fall in with the right people. The solo creators that are more of what's being made these days, they got no one to rely on. They're not even in LA half the time.
And they tend to get taken advantage of,
Do I do a content trade?
Exactly. I started the Wicked Alliance during the pandemic, and it was just supposed to be it's kind of like a Slack channel for the people who are taking my classes to talk and ask me questions and stuff. And it exploded. I think we're 300 to 400 people now, and it's great because they support each other and they look out for each other. Somebody will post a thing and what's the best place to buy blah blah blah. What do you do when you've got somebody who's going to sending you a very high dollar tribute? How do you hide that from your taxes? And there's super high level advice that comes out, and I'm constantly amazed. And all it really took was just putting people in in channels together and stirring them up.
Well, and take them away from the environment where they feel like they're competing with each other, because I feel like that's part of the problem. Is when people were competing for being booked all the time, they're like, oh, well, if I help out that other performer, they may take my job. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, oh, no, we're all putting content out there now.
Yeah, I think that is a hard lesson for novices to learn, is that you are and you aren't in competition. If you feel like you're in competition with somebody else, then you need to innovate more. The more that you can define yourself as being unique and find your own groove, and honestly kind of find whatever your authentic feel is, the better you're going to do. I mean, it's the same way on like with any kind of content creator. It's like YouTubers, Twitch streamers, everybody. You got to find your lane. If you're pretending to be somebody else, then you will have to compete with their audience.
I have a confession for my audience. I'm actually drinking iced tea this whole time, and I'm perfectly sober. It's all a sham. It's all sham and lies. No, I 100% agree. And that's, as we were talking about earlier, one of the things that has allowed creators to show up on camera without makeup and like have more natural fucking content, because they're being authentic versus like I have to be fucking glammed out porn hair 24/7. You can't possibly see me without I'm natural. Like, wait a minute, you're still wearing eyeshadow. Like,
you say that as I have like literally filming spackle on my face. I don't usually look. I don't put this much work into my appearance. I literally walked off from where I was filming to come down and do this. And I was like, okay, I have to get my quota done tonight. I'm filming by myself today, and usually I have a team. And I was like, all right, well, this is it.
I was just gonna be like, oh, I'm honored that you got all the. I didn't even really fucking shave. I'm like scraggly as fuck right now. But luckily, my audience is not
for you.
Oh, my audience doesn't. I don't think actually gives a fuck what I look like. So, they might. Let me know in the comments.
Well, you never actually want to hear the comments. That's honestly rule number one: is don't read the comments about yourself.
Oh, I love them. The first time I got a 1-star review on iTunes for how horrible my voice was, I screen capped it, put it on Instagram, like, fucking finally made it. I fucking finally made it.
You got your first hater.
Got a fucking 1-star hater for my fucking voice. No one's forcing you to listen, asshole. I didn't put a gun to your head and make you do this. You did this to yourself.
My favorite one is like the people who will make shitty comments on pirated porn sites, like about you. Like, bitch, you didn't even pay for it. And yet you think that your opinion means something. There was an entire subreddit that somebody made about me in which that they were like passing off like their, pirated videos and stuff. And then there was an entire thread of them speculating about if my boobs were real and like what plastic surgery I might have had and like the events of my life. I was like, get a fucking life, you guys. Who cares?
The only time it's appropriate to ask a woman if she's had her boobs done is to ask her what doctor to go see. That's the only time it's appropriate. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, hey, that looks great. Can you refer me to your doctor? That's the only time. The only time. And not on a public forum.
Certainly not a public forum. I mean, girls we ask all the time. One girl will know if another girl has fake boobs, right? Like, we know what tits look like. We also know that like the like range of shapes and sizes. Men, on the other hand, can't seem to understand the geometry of a boob. I'm saying men as a whole, not individual men, but like that, like boobs don't naturally come in the shape of a half of a melon, right? Like you didn't cut a candle up in half and then stick it under your shirt, and that's what a boob looks like. But dudes have no concept. I know.
No, we're just entranced by them. Like, oh, boobs. Oh, those are amazing. Like we don't question. Like it's just like, oh, okay, cool. And
I mean, I do too. I look at them and I'm like, oh wow, those are amazing. It doesn't matter to me they're real or not. They're still amazing.
Big, small, lopsided, it doesn't matter. I'm just happy to be in the room.
All boobs matter.
Yes, they do. All boobs matter. On the thing about you going, well, with the clarification, all men, any man who's offended by an all man statement, it feels that it applies to them. Like, get over it, people. Like, if you are offended by it, then it applies to you. If you're,
well, I say that because, like, from a PR standpoint, being a dominatrix usually equates to being a man hater. And I'm not a man hater, I'm a man eater, but I don't hate men. And so I have to sometimes qualify that, like, I'm not, I don't hate men. I actually
You should.
just
We
think
suck.
that, no, I just think that men can do better. That's it.
Yeah, it's not real.
That's how I feel.
I mean, the bar is so low for us in most cases that you could trip over it. Really?
You know, although I'm really happy sometimes that that the bar for men is so low, because it makes for people like me to come in and steal your fucking girlfriends. So easy. All I have to do is just be nice to her. I just have to tell her she's pretty in the morning and like validate her feelings. And that's it. She's gone. No, makes it easy for me.
I'm well aware. I have a sordid history of stealing people's girlfriends. Like back in the, I don't do it anymore, but back in the day, I definitely slept with a lot of people's girlfriends. Because a lot of it, like, oh my God, I would never treat you like that. That's such bull. I was not a good person. I may still not be a great person, but I was definitely a worse person then.
Hey, look, we've all done.
I always argued at the time, though, I did not make any social contract there. You were the one violating your social contract by cheating.
That is true. And you know, we've all made some very gray ethical decisions, you know, like myself included, when it comes to doing things like that. Now, if I really like somebody, I give them lots of coaching and advice and like counseling to leave their partners first. And once they've left their partners, then they can try to have a relationship with me, and not before. Because unless you're polyamorous, in which it's great, I'll come meet your partner for dinner. Cool, let's go.
That works out well. Yeah. I feel like that strategy only doesn't work for me, because anytime like I as a dude am coaching someone to be like, oh, your boyfriend's shit, you should leave him. That raises the red flags of like, oh, I see what you're about. Well, yeah, I am, but I'm trying to do this the right way, kind of. And like, he is treating you like shit. I'm not lying about it. If you were having a perfect relationship, I would not be able to point out how bad this is going.
Agreed. But there's sometimes much more subtle ways to point out that this dude is problematic without coming out and saying he fucking sucks, leave him, even though that's really what you're thinking.
Yeah, subtlety is not exactly on brand. Well, and also like when you try. Oh, good. Go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of subtlety, is that I'm surprised you haven't asked me about the documentary yet.
Oh, I was gonna get there.
No,
but
that's fine. We won't talk about it now.
No, we can definitely talk about the documentary. My host sense is tingling that you want to talk about the documentary. I think we'll talk about the documentary. When is the documentary coming out, first and foremost?
So the documentary actually premiered, did the U.S. premiere in September, and it premiered in Spain and Brazil, somewhere else, and then I am going in a couple of weeks to the big Canadian premiere in Whistler, and
nice.
It's the Whistler Film Festival, and it's this is the big one. It'll be the fancy red carpet stuff, and this is actually the first like interview that I've done concerning the podcast, because I've kind of been pretty tight-lipped about it, mostly because everyone's like, when can I watch it? And when you've done any kind of documentary, you're like, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't make these decisions. Netflix is going to pick it up sometime. Who knows? I don't know. You know what? Hold your horses. Go to the film festival. You really want to see it.
You got to wait till Tiger King 2's done, and then maybe you'll be able to see it. Maybe.
Oh, fuck.
That came out
Tiger
like
King.
Yesterday or today.
Did it really?
Uh-huh.
I won't watch it. Although I will tell you a funny thing about Tiger King, not to derail from my documentary, but I was like 3 or 4 episodes in, and you remember the character Doc?
Yeah.
Okay. So I used to live in South Carolina, and I worked in my teenage years at a place called Hollywild, which was a really not the most ethical place for, with wild animals. They were training for like Hollywood stunt stuff, like commercials and things. But I was 16 and I was like, I get to play with tigers. So of course, I'm in there and And I'm a third generation animal person. Like my grandmother was gentling Mustangs. She was like one of the last people to gentle Mustangs. And my mom, did dogs and, horses and the whole nine yards, right? So I just have a really good knack for it. And the owner of Hollywell comes in and he goes, "Hey, we have a new cub coming in, a tiger cub coming in, and you're really, really, really good with them. But we don't really have an enclosure for him right now. Do you think that you could take him for a month or two while we finish building the enclosure?" Of course, I, being 16, was like, I got a fucking tiger. Like, of course I'm going to take it. Absolutely, I'm going to take it. There's not a 16-year-old on the planet that would be like, give me the tiger, right? And I did.
I've been saying for a very long time, I have a very hard time keeping myself alive. That's why I have no pets or children. So I definitely would not take on a tiger. I'd be like, nope, that thing's going to die or kill me when I don't feed it. Nope.
Well, but I mean, it's a tiger cub, but like, yeah, so you have to like, they've got a big mouth and needle teeth and, they're not cats. But anyway, so when he finally called me and was like, "Oh, we're ready to take the cub back," they showed up with this truck, and out of the truck came Doc. And I had not seen this guy until the documentary. And I was like, whoa. And I remember very distinctly that him coming up to me and being like, "Wow, you took care of this cub all by yourself," And I was like, well, I mean, like, my grandmother's here. But yeah, for the most part I did. And he was like, "Wow, you're really, really good with them, right? Did you know I've got a program down near the coast and we would love to have you come down?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, I have to figure out what I'm doing." And like, blah, blah, blah. He's like, "When are you graduating?" And I'm like, "I graduate soon, actually," because I was graduating early. And he was like, "You should totally come down. You should meet everyone down there. There's plenty of girls who are doing the same thing as you." And don't you think that, like, watching the documentary, I came back to it being like, he was trying to make me one of those girls in that compound. Oh my God, I totally dodged a bullet there. Because you know what? I would have gone. I've been like, yep, fucking tigers, let's go. In a heartbeat.
The trajectory of your life completely in a different direction.
Although, knowing myself, I would have taken over the whole compound, kicked his ass out, and I would have, made all those girls into rock stars. But that's a story for another day.
You could have saved so many lives. So many lives. Yeah. And also, because of the documentary, it would have answered for Reddit if you had your boobs done or not. Because obviously, if you were there, he would have made you do it.
Well, in an alternate timeline somewhere, I'm the Tiger Queen.
I mean, you still could be if you really, really wanted to be.
I could. Actually, I work with foxes and wolves now. I work with an ambassador program here in Ohio called Ironwood Wolves, and I get my my wild animal fix by getting to work with the ambassador animals, and then they don't have to live with me. And they go back to their enclosures, and I don't have to. It's kind of like being grandma. You get to play with them, and you get to help train them, and you give them treats, and then they don't live with you. It's great.
You ever get to schmooze with George R.R. Martin doing the wolf stuff? Because I know he raises a lot of money for wolves.
No, but the one of the wolves in the program was actually a sibling, or I think it's sibling or a nephew or something like that, of the pair of wolves that were used in Game of Thrones. The
very wolves.
Cool. So a couple of degrees of separation, but.
I was just going to be like, if you know him, yell at him to finish his fucking books.
All of my dominatrix skills that have been able to like impress people to be their best selves and help to, modify their behavior and all that stuff would never work on him. It wouldn't work. I wouldn't even try. I'd be like,
I think you should try. I think you should give it the old college try. I think we should start a GoFundMe right fucking now to pay whatever fees you need covered to get George R. Martin to finish his fucking books. I think we can make this happen.
If it's just to finish the books, or to finish the books and make them good? Because the last one...
that's a stretch goal. That's a stretch goal to make them good.
Okay. All right. Listen, I'm here for it. Whatever you got to do, get me in front of him. I will make it happen. I always wanted to be a spy. We're
going to start the fundraising as soon as this airs. Be like, all right. Just have to figure out how to phrase the GoFundMe that it's not actual sex work, because I'm sure they frown on that shit.
It's targeted behavioral improvement.
There we go.
I'm life coaching. I'll be his life coach.
Alexandra Snow, George R.R. Martin's life coach.
That's right.
There we go. Boom.
I don't know if I would put that on my resume though, because
Depends on how the books come out.
that's true. That's true. I don't know that I want to be held responsible if they're terrible. Although maybe so you. I just like beat him. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Go back and rewrite it. What's wrong with you?
Do we really need another white dude with a beard? Do we?
No. All right. Actually, that sounds fun. I might do for half price.
Dope. We just negotiated a discount, audience. The one thing I fear is that he's old and his heart would give out shortly after you got to work.
Nah, that's all right. I got private nurses for that.
Got it all figured out? We're going to finally get the end of the series that was meant to happen instead of whatever the abomination HBO came up with.
I just thought of HBO as being an alternate universe version of Game of Thrones because I was a huge George R.R. Martin fan before HBO even knew it existed. Like I was pretty devout. And I was kind of mad when it became popular because I was like, it's the old hipster thing. And like, don't take this thing from me. I love it. But, I just had to I had to let go and surrender into, it's just an alternate universe. It's fine.
It's basically, high budget fanfic.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is.
It's just, and lots of showcasing of mental illness that no one wants to confront.
Well, I mean, that's most television, isn't it? Yeah,
that's true. That's true. But especially, I think, Game of Thrones. At least Marvel is getting better about it. I will say that.
Well, yeah, they got rid of Joss Whedon.
Fair.
Who knew that guy was a monster? Oh, no.
I know. We had Buffy. Buffy was good. What happened?
Apparently Buffy was bad for a lot of people making it, unfortunately.
No, yes, that too. Hey, listen, don't take my childhood away.
My bad. I'm sorry. I'm not here to ruin things. I'm not.
No. It's okay. I'm in the same place with that as as where I am with J.K. Rowling. Listen, J.K. Rowling is so far on my shit list, but there are many, 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 many people that went into making those movies, and the actors themselves and the creatives that create an entire universe for us to enjoy. And I'm not about to let that be poisoned by the fact that J.K. Rowling is a terrible person. So it doesn't mean I'm going to give her any of my money, but it doesn't mean that I can't still like the stories and uphold the creative works of the people who worked on it.
Well, yeah. I mean, the late, great Alan Rickman, come on. I
know. I don't know how my life would have been if Alan Rickman was my dad. I've actually thought of this a couple of times.
How's it go?
I don't know. I just feel like he would have been so wise and sage, and he would have sat me down and had these beautiful heart-to-heart conversations with, and it wouldn't matter what he was saying to me. I'd be like, I feel so loved. And, that would be it.
Every time, I know at this point, most people know Alan Rickman from the Harry Potter movies, but all the time, imagine him in Dogma, just being like, I can't rape you, and just dropping his pants.
I'd forgotten all about that. What a great scene. God, that movie was so ahead of its time, too.
I know. It's like when Kevin Smith was making good movies.
Yeah. Well, a good run can't last forever.
No, it's very, very difficult to do. And especially with movies where it's this is a giant collaborative process. Yes, Kevin Smith may have written and directed this, but how many other cooks are in that kitchen?
Yeah, I feel like no one can be Clint Eastwood. You don't go from actor to writer to director to producer and make it look as beautiful as he did, and still turn out great stuff.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's utterly amazing, the stuff that Eastwood's able to put out, but it's also because of the amount of clout Clint Eastwood has that he's able to do
Sure.
that kind of shit.
And he's been doing it for so long, he can surround himself with all the best people too.
100%. And he is at least doing original ideas, which is so fucking rare in Hollywood.
Truth.
As much as, like, I don't particularly agree with Eastwood's personal politics at this point, or his idea of talking to chairs, but
I haven't heard this one.
Oh,
talking to chairs?
He was talking to a chair at the Republican National Convention a couple years back.
Are you serious? I don't know how I missed this.
Oh, yeah. He's talking to an empty chair on stage. It was quite a thing.
Was it an act?
He's a brilliant actor. I don't know.
I don't know. Nothing. Okay.
I mean, it could be just he's old and dementia. Who fucking knows? Who knows? But he at least can make original fucking movies, which, as someone who's a bit of a cinephile, like, I hate about the current Hollywood system is like, oh, unless it's in a recycled IP, Hollywood isn't really making it for the most part, unless it's someone that has insane clout. As much as I don't always care for what Seth Rogen and James Franco were doing together, I was supporting all those movies just because they're all original ideas.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. How excited are you for the new Cowboy Bebop, though?
I'm not.
You're not?
I'm not. Because, once again, not an original IP. The anime's fine. The anime's perfect. Why not?
Perfect.
Why not come up with something fucking original that we can explore instead of having to, like, no matter how good it is, there's something that was the original IP is perfect. It's fine. It's good. It's never going to hold up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the reason why we flock to remakes rather than the originals is because we just never see the originals when they're put out. Like nobody gets them because they don't get enough press.
Well, I think that's part of it. I also think that's from the business standpoint of Hollywood, it's a lot safer to do a successful IP versus something that's completely untested when you're dumping hundreds of millions of dollars into a film.
Mm.
It's like, well, this has built-in marketing and it has a built-in fan base. We should be able to move some of this.
How do you feel about Oat Studios?
I am unfamiliar.
Oh, really? I will send you this when we're done. It's on Netflix. It's a series of really original shorts, and they're all kind of grim. Did you like Love, Sex, and Robots?
I did.
Okay, so it has a similar feel to it, but it's not animated.
I'm totally down for that. I will definitely check that out. I will check that out shortly after I edit this and put it out.
I'm a big fan of anything that's original too. You know, like I think the very first time that I ever watched film and it influenced me as a person was not just Battlestar Galactica. I think it was it's gone.
Blade Runner?
Blade Runner, there you go. Yes. I remember watching Blade Runner and feeling irrevocably changed as a human being. You know, and like we don't get things like that anymore. No.
And as much as Blade Runner, the new Blade Runner was beautiful, it was still like, well, this is just cashing in on the name. Like,
I thought the original was perfect as it was.
Well, which cut? There's a lot of. Yeah.
That's true. The extended cut. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
for those of you, for the audience who don't know, there are cuts with narration, there are cuts without narration.
Yep. And there was like weird hidden cuts that were released like years later and for like no apparent reason. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I still have, well, at least at one point had a copy of like the ultimate cut on VHS.
Shit. VHS, yo.
Yeah, I'm old. I mean, look at these graves. Like, speaking of original stuff, you're about the appropriate age range. Did you ever watch Liquid Television on MTV back in the day?
I was not, my family was not well enough to have MTV, but I do remember seeing it at friends' houses on occasion.
Like, more stuff like that needs to exist. Just weird fucking cartoons that are just like, oh, hey, this is just a bunch of shorts of fucking creators making weird fucking shit.
Yes, absolutely. Oh gosh, what I was going to say. Oh, so one of the things about back to Blade Runner is I saw the most perfect Rachel cosplay at Dragon Con this year. Like,
Wow.
I mean, I'm talking about down to the tiniest detail. She looked so good, and she was wearing Louboutins, walking through like the lobby, and I was just like, I never got a hard on so fast in my life.
Did you get a picture with her?
I did. I have to go find it though. It's somewhere stashed with all of my other Dragon Con photos.
Those cosplayers, like, it is utterly impressive. Like the amount of time, effort, and like accuracy they get into that shit. It's like, how? Wow. Like,
Oh, I know. That's actually part of the thing I'm moving into next year. I've started already dabbling in it. Is that I want to do more femdom cosplay. There's not a whole lot of that, but really, what I want to do is I want to be able to like make a really extravagant cosplay, and then shoot it once, and then trickle those photos out a little bit, and make tons of money off of it, rather than having to shoot 4 to 6 videos a week, where most of my money is made on like the volume of content. I'm like, no, I want to spend like lots and lots of time on the details. I want to like do really cool shoots and stuff.
you gonna move into NFTs or?
I have ethical roadblocks with NFTs. They're kind of bad for the environment. And until someone can accurately show me that they're not bad for the environment, I'm kind of like,
Just because of the power consumption to generate them?
yeah, like as much as I try not to make a big deal of it. Being indigenous means giving a lot of shits about the planet. And so there's certain things that I'm like, okay, I can in that? Sure. Do I buy lots of other crypto? I sure fucking do.
But you can reinvest that crypto into other things.
Yep.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around NFTs at the moment, but it's like, there's definitely money to be made there.
There is. And I've been contacted numerous times for photos of me to become NFTs. And like, there's lots of conversation about making NFTs the solution to piracy. And things like that. I don't think the technology is quite there yet for it to do the things they want it to do, but I'm anxious to see how it might evolve over time.
Yeah, I don't think the technology is there to stop piracy with NFTs. Like, no, it's definitely not there, because what's in the grand scheme of things, if you're just trying to, NFTs work because people want the collectability of being able to like, oh, I have the official NFT. Right. If they're just looking to stimulate their genitals off of what they're looking at, they can just screen grab it and still have it.
Exactly. Yep. That's why I think like photos make sense. Original art makes sense. Something that would be collectible in your home, would make sense. But no one's going to put a full, like a screened loop porn on their wall. Well, maybe some of my porn's really beautiful, but
don't judge me. It's behind the green screen right now. Just a old school like tubed monitors, just a wall of them with looping porn. I actually would love to set that up. Actually,
that sounds really fucking cool. It kind of like the in Batman when he has the big displays, and it's like they're doing the pinging of the whole city, and just different screens and various different kinds of porn. I'd be like, how do you pick which one to watch? Do you try to watch all of them simultaneously? Or do you like jump from one to the other? Do you like 30 seconds of one and like 10 seconds the other? I don't know.
It's kind of like roulette. You're just like, okay, who's getting my nut? Who's getting the nut?
I love it.
When I'm wealthy one day, there will be that room, and people will just be what? What's happening here? Like, I decided I was going to do it, and it's happening.
I mean, like having multiple monitors and a fucking Bloomberg terminal is okay. Why not having multiple monitors full of porn, of smut?
Well, it's because I want to actually pile up like old CRTs. Like yes. I don't want, because there's got to be grain and like distortion and all.
Okay, yeah. Actually, so I have a video concept that I've been kind of chewing on for a while. It's kind of like more of a psychological thriller where I want to have an old CRT TV in a room, a dark room, and it like the lights come up and the viewer is sitting in front of the TV and I come on as a recording, and like, with various different plot developments and stuff, and like the TV turns off, and then I literally come in the room, and then like goes back and forth between like the viewer can't decide if it's real or if it's recorded. But I cannot find an old TV that works. I don't know why it's so difficult now, but like I don't know if I have to go to like flea markets or what, but I cannot source one successfully.
Why do you need one that works?
Well, I actually want to make it a practical.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I just think it'd be cool.
It would be. It really would be. You'd have to find like a HDMI to RCA converter to be able to plug into it.
Yep. Yeah. But I just think it'd be really neat because I would film essentially 2 different kinds of videos. I would have to film the one for that and then, master it, and I just think it's great.
Well, and then you also wouldn't have to do like green screen tricks to like be in 2 places at once if you're just recording like something that you already recorded. No, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah. Honestly, green screen is not ideal for most video work, at least on the scale or scope that we're doing, because it's so difficult to light things accurately to be able to use to use plates. Like I do green screen stuff. Actually, we do an entire class on green screen. I basically tell people, I'm like, don't use green screen when you could actually do find the place in real life. You only use green screen when you absolutely can't, because trust me, it's easier to find that place than to make this look realistic.
Oh, I'm well aware. I do a lot of chroma key stuff. Like this is actually a green screen behind me right now, and like it really is.
Really, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a still of my living room, but it is a green screen on.
That's cool. I mean, you did a nice job with it.
But I do a lot of it, and that's the only reason it looks halfway decent. There's a lot of videos that I've done the trial and error where it's like, oh, that looks like shit.
Well, also, I think chroma keying when you're broadcasting is a little different than the way you have to chroma key with like a DSLR and lenses. At least in my experience doing it, I haven't broadcasted.
I'm shooting on DSLR and lenses though right now. I am.
Which one are you doing?
I'm on a Canon T8i right now, and this is just the 18 to 35 kit lens.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm a total gear whore. I have way more stuff than I actually ever use, but I'm like, oh, they came with a new lens. I have to have it.
Oh, I'm slowly, like, I've been a Canon shooter forever, and like,
same.
Slowly moving over to Sony because of the fucking record limits on the Canons. I just picked up. Welcome to the gear section of the podcast, everyone. I just picked up 2 of these, which are the Sony ZV E10s.
ZV1, yeah. This is.
Well, these are the E10s. These are the new ones.
The 10s, okay.
This actually has a removable lens on it.
This is actually, that's the thing I've been recommending to new creators. I'm like, don't make content on your phone. There's actually good cameras that won't break your budget. Use this first. Yeah.
Yeah, well, with the kit lens, which is a pretty decent lens. It's only gets down to 3.5 for the stops, but it does great fucking autofocus, no record limit. $800 with the fucking kit lens.
That's awesome. And honestly, 3.5 is more than enough for most people. Like, I shoot at 1.8 because I've got a whole fucking setup, and doing POV is like, I want it to feel so personal, but it's totally not necessary, like for most people at all. And
especially if you have decent lighting.
Yep, true.
I mean, I do have my nifty 50 also. But.
Yeah. I just upgraded to a 5D, and nice. And I spent a ton of money on my new lens. I love it so much. I'm like, every time I make a really big purchase for camera stuff, I'm almost kind of nervous about it. I'm like, oh, we're gonna use this, and then when you really hit a home run, I'm like, it was worth every penny.
I keep kicking around because you can get them relatively cheap on eBay, getting a fucking C100 Mark II. Mm-hmm. It's like, I can get one of those for $1,500, and that is a beefy fucking camera. I mean, I don't have to shoot in 4K. That is a beefy fucking Sin camera. But it's like, am I going to shoot enough stuff to justify this? Like, I'm going to have to buy definitely some new glass because, like, you know, everything else I have is APS-C. So it's like, I'm going to have to buy some new fucking wide full frame lenses. Like, am I going to buy stuff that's going to justify this? Maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I would hate to lose all the money that I've invested in lenses. Like I also shoot with a GH5S for when I do adventure travel stuff because I don't want to take my really expensive stuff on location. And I already had to invest in the micro 4/3 stuff, and I was like, man, I don't want to have to. I don't have another ecosystem I have to deal with. It's already hard enough.
Well, I mean, it that thing is EF mount. It's just like I have some full frame glass, but I also have some things like you know, my 10 to 18 is a fucking crop sensor lens. So it's just like, and that's a necessary fucking lens. You got to have a fucking ultra wide.
Agreed. Why don't you just go rent one and decide if you like it?
Well, I know I like the camera. It's just, I've shot other projects on them for other people. It's like, I know I like the camera. Do I know if I'm going to make, you know, enough use of it where I could buy the, for $1,000 more, I can buy an A7S4 when it comes out in a couple weeks. And that thing, have you seen the specs on that thing?
I know. It's on my wish list right now.
Get on that wish list, people. Buy her that camera.
Guys always want to buy me shoes and lingerie, and I'm like, no, buy me cameras and stuff for my cats. That's what I really want. Although I just recently put out a blast that I needed fuzzy slippers because my feet are always cold, and I said that I wanted slippers to match all of my different outfits because I'm just over being cold in general, and I will wear.
Stop living in Ohio, and that'll happen.
You know what, though? I have built an empire here. So, you know. But, you know, Larry Flint was from Ohio, so shut up.
Well, that's fine. I mean, you guys got North Market. That's fine.
It's true. We have Otherworld, too. And Otherworld is fucking dope. You know what Otherworld is? You're familiar with Meow Wolf, right? George R.R. Martin. Yep. Otherworld is an immersive art installation very similar to Meow Wolf.
Well, then I'm going to yell at my friends in Columbus for like being bums and not taking me.
Well, if you come out to Columbus, I will personally take you because it's amazing.
And I have a bunch of friends that live there. I'm originally a Chicago dude, so like, I'm a Midwest transplant, but like I have a bunch of friends in Columbus and a bunch of friends in Cincinnati these days. I'm actually due to be in Ohio at some point, so I will take you up on that.
Yeah, please. I have a brand new house too. The first thing I did with my brand new house was to put a stripper pole in my living room, and it never felt so good. Yep, never felt so good. How many times I've used it? Not that many. But it felt great because it was like, I can finally drill in my fucking ceiling.
Well, it's there. You can use it whenever you want.
And all of my friends, when they come over, can't wait to use it. On my birthday party this year, I feel like more people use that stripper pole than the pole was designed for, but it was great.
You have them sign waivers like, if you get injured on this pole, this is on you. I'm not hurting my homeowner's insurance. There
is full waivers when it comes to people's, health and well-being when you step foot onto my property. I am not responsible for you. You're an adult. You can figure it out.
Do you have people sign NDAs when they come over too?
No, because we'd all be signing mutual NDAs. Like when I love the fact that being in the adult industry has given me lots of friends that are also other well-known sluts. And we have great parties together and stuff. But it's kind of a cardinal rule. It's like, you don't talk about what happens at the orgy club. Like you don't disclose, personal information. That's for us to be able to do. It's not part of work.
Exactly. Yeah. As someone who does this, I have to tell the story, but omit names. The audience wants to hear the story,
right?
But admit important key details that and keep the guilty parties' names out of it.
Truth. Although I will say that probably the best part of my birthday was Domina Helena. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, but she's also femdom has crossover into mainstream porn. And somebody ordered a pizza. We have no idea why anybody ordered a pizza, but like a pizza.
I'm assuming they were hungry.
I'm assuming so, but this is the part of the night where I had brought out sock puppets. Okay. I want you for a minute to think: is there a situation that could not be made better with sock puppets? I can't find one.
Colonoscopy. If my doctor broke out a sock puppet, I'd have problems.
Yeah, but what if you had the sock puppet and talked to your doctor?
Well, I probably wouldn't remember because, like, they give you good drugs during that. When the one time I had one, apparently I was asking questions the whole time. I do not remember any of that. It was those drugs were wild. Like, all I remember was them inflating my colon and going, "Ow, this hurts! Stop! Ow, this hurts!" And then waking up in the fucking recovery room. Like, it wasn't like sleeping where there was a passage of time. It was just like a jump cut.
Yep. That stuff's pretty great. All right, so we're back to sock puppets.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you on that.
So the pizza arrives and she comes in and she's like, she's built like a brick shit house. And she's like wearing this, like I think like a black one piece, kind of bodysuit thing. And my whole house is like all done in RGB, right? Like there is no way from the outside that the house does not look like it has a party going on, right? Like no one has this many colors of lights. And the house is thumping, like I'm getting to try out my brand new sound system and blah, 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 right? And she opens the door. The guy has the pizzas and she has the fucking sock puppet and she's like, "Welcome to Fantasy Island." And then proceeds to be like, he's like, "I have your pizzas here." And she goes, "Okay." And she proceeds to turn around, bend over and ask him to pass her the pizzas through her legs. So he has to stare at her butt while he's passing her the pizzas. And then she like takes them and like passes them to the next person, like does it again. And he looks deadpan and he was like, "Have a great night. I think your accent needs a little work." I just shut the door and I was like, wow, that was cold. I love it.
Like, you should open the door. "Pizza guy, you want to come in? Party? Like, you're awesome. Come on, dude."
He'll be like, you guys look like you are up to no good. But I had to imagine like what this guy would have thought, because if you open the door to one of the parties, everyone in my party is beautiful, right? Because most of us are in the industry and, and I was like, what is happening? Is this a new Playboy mansion or something? Like I'm sure this guy had to go back and have stories about it. He had to.
If your address ever popped up again, he's like, "I got it. I'm on that delivery."
No, I'll have to keep track of that one.
It's like, "Oh, hey, pizza guy, you're back." He eventually gets invited to the party. He never has a name. He's just pizza guy.
Well, at least the one thing we have out here that you guys don't have is Donatos.
I know. I'm aware. I'm well aware. You guys also have hound dogs.
Mm-hmm. Sure do. We also have Skyline, but who's going to own up to that?
I've made some drunk mistakes there.
But you didn't make sober mistakes there. That's my point.
Well, yeah. I mean, hell, you guys have White Castle, which we don't have in LA either.
Yeah. Also a drunk, only made drunken decisions.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Their breakfast sandwiches are fucking amazing.
Are you sure? White Castle is like their headquarters is based here in Columbus.
I'm well aware.
We are their retail test market.
Your most fast foods retail test market.
Sure is.
I mean, Wendy's is from Dublin, which is just a Columbus suburb.
Yep. Actually, I have been on a mission. I'm sure that you read the Wendy's Twitter, right? It's amazing. It's fucking hilarious, right? And like, especially when like Wendy's does the roast days or whatever, is that the people who write that must live here in Columbus, and I want to meet them. I really do. Like, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I'm gonna be like, how do I ask who's on the social media team?
Oh, that's easy. Go on LinkedIn and look at who's their social media manager. I'm sure they have it on their fucking.
Oh my God, you're so smart. See, this is things that like sex workers, we don't know how to use LinkedIn.
I am positive Wendy's social media manager has that listed on their fucking profile on LinkedIn. They have to.
All right. Thank you. I will give you updates on whether or not I find them if my sleuthing works.
Awesome. That'd be. I think you might ruin their life if you dox them, though. If you let them know, if you let the world know who the Wendy.
Come on, I'm a sex worker. I would never dox anybody. But what I would do is I would be like, how much would it cost to have lunch with you? That's it.
And not at Wendy's. Not at Wendy's.
No. Be like, did you do cash meats?
Yo, can we do an out call? Can we just have an out call, please?
You're like, who are you, weirdo?
The fast food Twitters are fucking amazing. I mean, Wendy's started that revolution, but oh my god, the fast food Twitters are.
Steakums. Steakums is my favorite, I think, outside of Wendy's.
Moon Pies is pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar? It's not an official, fast food Twitter, but are you aware of Nihilist Arby's?
No.
Oh my god.
What? I like Nihilist Lisa Frank, so I think Nihilist Arby's is right off my alley.
It's Nihilist_Arby's on Twitter.
All right, I'm on it. Thank you.
And Arby's corporate did the most amazing thing to Nihilist Arby's a couple of years back. So it's publicly known who runs Nihilist Arby's these days. It's the lead singer of the punk band, the Lawrence Arms.
I mean, that's pretty good, though. All right. I'm just going to read you the last one. It's like, it's about Oreos. And it says something, The Oreos is like something new is coming. And, they subtweeted, nothing matters, Oreos. Tomorrow, some of your followers will be dead. And the ones who are alive won't care. Nothing matters. Eat Arby's. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm going to waste so much time on this. Great. Thank you.
I regularly rock a Nihilist Arby's hat. I don't know where it is at the moment. Otherwise, I would just grab it. But yeah, it's a Arby's symbol and it says nothing under it. I regularly wear that hat.
Oh my god, I love it.
Arby's corporate, instead of sending them a cease and desist, instead of sending them because he's a corporate copywriter as a day job, in addition to being the lead singer of the band. They showed up at his office with a sack of sandwiches and a puppy and a note that said, "Not everything's so bad."
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. There's a Business Insider article about it.
Oh my god, that's delightful. A puppy? Really?
A puppy, a bag of Arby's sandwiches, and a note that says everything's not so bad. It's like that is the best way a corporate Twitter could, like a corporation could handle like a kind of a troll account.
The truth. Yeah. I mean, honestly though, they're doing more good for you than you realize. Like, I don't know.
What's also hilarious is Nihilist Arby's has like 10 times the followers that either him or the band have.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It is absolutely one of my favorite Twitter accounts. Like, he posts most major holidays or major events, and it's just like chef's kiss on all of it.
I love it. Gosh. So that's something that I've actually been struggling with, is that in real life, I think that I'm not like super funny, but I tend to be have like a snarky, dry sense of humor. And I like have this in person with lots of people, and way to make people laugh, is that I cannot figure out how, for the life of me, how to be funny on Twitter, because I feel like my brand isn't funny at all. Like it's just serious. And every time I've tried to be funny, I've had people be like, "Are you okay?" Like, that's not the response that you're supposed to get when you're like, "I'm trying to be funny." And like, "No, it's a joke." And they're like, "Okay, sure."
Well, you just got to go full Andy Kaufman with it. Just like have people guessing if it's funny or serious. Just have them guessing all the time. Like, you decide. Am I okay? Am I?
And I wonder if some part of it's just like, I feel like I'm funny with other people because I have somebody to like play off of. By myself, I'm just like, nothing matters. Everything is meaningless.
It's a whole comedy Twitter account right there based on just that. I think you can get away with it.
Nihilist femdom. There you go. Nothing matters. I'm going to step on your throat anyway.
The money is unimportant. I'm just here to step on your throat.
Exactly. No. It'd be like, nothing matters. So give me all of your money. You're going to die soon anyway.
Right. You can't take it with you.
But I can take it from you. That's great. You can't take it with me, but I can take it from you. Shit, I'm going to write that one down.
Good thing we're recording this.
I love it.
Your children's inheritance don't matter. Give it all to me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't do financial domination as a core tenet of my brand, because I'm a real life dom, and fin dom, and is always has some sticky places of ethics and stuff. Not that it can absolutely be done ethically, and I do, but it has a stigma that I don't usually dabble in too much. But I will do fin dom on occasion, and what usually works the most is that I say things like, you obviously can't make good decisions for yourself or ethical decisions, and who knows what you're doing with your money. You're probably out there spending on fucking cheetos, and I don't know, another massage chair that you won't use. So if you give your money to me, I will make sure that it goes to good, it's put to good use, and humanitarian efforts, and things like that. If you give your money to me, then you know that you're doing good in the world, and you don't even have to take responsibility for it.
Makes sense. But what's your beef with Cheetos?
Oh, I like Cheetos, just not if you're there was that thing for a while that you could buy a 5-gallon drum of Cheetos on Amazon or something like that. And, I don't know why anybody needs 5-gallon drums. Surely it would all go stale before you got through it.
Or maybe it wouldn't, and you would just really hate life.
I think actually a really either terrible or great way to die is stuff into 5-gallon Cheeto drum. Could you eat your way out?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
We just gotta get some people to sign some waivers, and we can find out through science.
Yeah, I'll punch it one air hole. It's fine.
Yeah, just an air hole at the top.
Yeah, just one.
Yeah. Now, are the Cheetos are they Cheetos balls or the actual Cheetos curls?
I feel like it should be flamin' hot Cheetos if we're really gonna make this a test.
Oh God! That, because eventually you're gonna start sweating from all the hot Cheetos. Mm-hmm. Then it's gonna get the other Cheetos fucking dripping into your eyes. That
I would give somebody goggles.
Well, you're a very kind dom.
I wouldn't give them clothes.
That still sounds pretty horrible, even with the goggles. Not getting in your eyes, major bonus, but still sounds pretty fucking horrible.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that I haven't put a red hot Cheeto up somebody's asshole, but I'm not saying I haven't either.
Speaking of torturing people, have you ever watched Hot Ones?
Yes. It's been a little while though.
I feel like some, not necessarily you, but some dom should do a sexy version of Hot Ones.
I'm not mad about it. I would do it.
Some naked dude, hot sauces.
Mm-hmm. It's not an irregular occurrence actually for us to do videos of jerk off with hot sauce. So, but I tend to be the person that people call when they make bad mistakes for online, putting capsaicin and stuff in places that it shouldn't go. And it's it burns. What do I do? And I'm well, I don't want to go to the emergency room. I'm embarrassed. I'm you're so dumb. I still regularly get people who call me and want me to walk them through how to get household objects out of their butts.
I hope you were charging them quite a bit.
Do I look like I don't charge per minute? Come on.
I know. I'm really actually fearing the tab for this podcast.
Oh, it's pro bono. You came very well recommended.
Aw. Yeah, wow. I would have if I don't think I'm ever gonna be in a situation where I got something stuck inside me, but calling a non-medical professional to get it out of me is not the call I would make, unless they're getting off on being embarrassed by calling you.
No, I think what it is that someone like me who's been doing this as long as I have has lots of experience. I teach classes in butt stuff, right? That I would have the functional knowledge of how to retrieve something if it got lost, and would save them the humiliation of going to the emergency room. I think that's where it's coming from.
Fair. But the medical bill will probably be cheaper. Like, you don't take insurance. If you can figure out a way to take insurance, holy shit.
I have said this many times. In fact, I have been sometimes on the fence about going back to school and finishing my psychology stuff so that I could become a sex therapist. Because I was like, I could take insurance then.
Well, I mean, hell, a much faster course. Can't massage therapists technically take insurance?
That's true. But they can't charge outrageous fees. And as a sexologist, I could.
Fair. If you get both, you can charge really outrageous fees.
It's true. I mean, as a dominatrix, like I'm in a pretty high bracket for doms. Like I am between 400 and 450 an hour. But that's more than a lot of attorneys are. So it would have to be a really good practice.
Well, just a lot of creative billing with the insurance company too. Like,
yeah, what is the medical coding for that? Proctology exam?
Well, you'd have to, like, to properly, commit medical insurance fraud, you'd have to break up multiple things and bill for them twice. Like, it's amazing how much medical fraud is actually medical insurance fraud.
Well, and the thing is, the reason why that exists is because the medical insurance, the whole system is fucked,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, oh, hey, we're a hospital. We have a negotiated book with the insurance companies. Yep. And, like, we have to raise that to a point where we still make a profit, but with
but if you don't have insurance, then you're gonna pay the overinflated rates and blah blah blah. And oh yeah, you probably are paying somewhere between $400 and $600 a month for your own insurance, but we're still not going to cover everything until you meet your deductible. Which good fucking luck with that.
Yeah. It's like, oh hey, do you have a menial job? Here's your $6,000 a year deductible bronze coverage.
Yep.
Good luck.
Yep. It's basically like, if you get into a car accident, it won't bankrupt you.
Yeah. If you get into a car accident, that's your fault. If it's someone else's fault, their insurance is covering it, so you still won't hit your deductible.
I know, it's ridiculous.
America. We're number one.
I actually, many years ago was going to get my life and health insurance certification, just because I wanted to be able to get group healthcare coverage for other sex workers, and it's the textbook is like this. It was bigger than lots of my my complicated chemistry, stuff in college. Like, I was like, why? This doesn't need to be this way.
But it does, so they can make their money.
That's true.
They're about profit. They're not about actually, like, providing service or a benefit to people. So they're like, no. Our whole model is like, you pay us and we try not to pay you.
Right. That was the greatest thing about being in France. As much as I didn't care for Paris after a while, is without any health coverage, for me to go to the doctor cost me $40. Most of my prescriptions were free. Like, I went like to see a specialist and it was $60, and he apologized. He's like, I'm very sorry you have to pay out of pocket, but you're not a French resident yet, et cetera, et cetera. I was like, $60. This is less than my copay at home. Like,
probably better coverage.
Yeah, and it was like, I honestly got great care when I was there. But that'll never be us, because Americans hate socialism.
Yeah, because I don't want to have to pay for the next guy. Like, every time socialized healthcare comes up, I'm like, you dummy. Your lot in life is not guaranteed. Just because you have great coverage from your job now does not mean that your employer is not going to want to cut costs at some point and reduce your coverage, or you lose your fucking job to some bullshit, or your fucking kids aren't able to get as good of a job as you. Wouldn't you want to pay into a system that makes sure everyone has a fucking safety net?
Yeah. Or like, you don't want to pay for the next person. Do you not realize that other people are paying for you too? That's how it works.
Yeah.
Oh.
I completely pictured it like, it's selfish. I want socialized healthcare so I can pay for myself.
Yeah, I agreed. I also want socialized healthcare so that more people can have coverage and are less of a drain on the system. It's kind of like homelessness. Did you know the cheapest way to combat homelessness is to give them homes?
Well, that's not the cheapest way. That's the second cheapest way. The cheapest way is to put them in a ring with weapons and let them fight it out.
But you still have to buy the weapons, and you still have to.
I mean, sticks, 2x4s with nails driven through are real cheap.
That's true. This is sounding like Squid Game, so.
No. We're not giving them 1 billion won after it's over. We're just giving them a house.
But there's only one house for all of them? Oh my God, that's terrible.
I mean, it's only terrible for the people that lose.
True.
The guy who won will really feel like he deserves that house.
Yep.
Like, I fought hard for this home. He will defend it to his last breath.
You know, if I had to kill somebody to acquire my house, yeah, I'd be pretty fucking possessive of it. I'm already possessive of it, you know? God, that's amazing.
Yeah, not just one. Like, it's a bracketed tournament. You can't just like.
Are there different brackets for levels of homes too?
Oh yeah. We definitely got to like. If you make it to the top, oh yeah. Now the question is, how do you divide it up? Like, you can't. Weight classes don't seem fair. How do you divide up? And hey, it would give our homeless vets a way to use their skills they learned in the Army or the armed forces.
That's actually pretty relevant.
Horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But
I've often wondered why we don't actively give homeless veterans more work, considering that there's lots of that work to be had. I mean, I don't know about you, but I would rather have a vet working in TSA than most TSA officers.
Yes.
I'm saying, barring things like struggling with mental illness or struggling with addiction and doing all that stuff, all of that's perfectly legitimate.
Addiction's fine.
Yeah.
Addiction's fine. As long as they're not stealing out of my bag when I put it through TSA, addiction's fine. As long as they're like, I have no problems with addicts that show up to work. What you do in your own time is fine.
However, I think the latest numbers they had come out about, I think they were studying the homeless in either Seattle or LA, and there was a pretty big percentage of people for whom they believe a lot of their mental illness symptoms came because of being homeless, not homelessness was a result of their mental illnesses. So,
Well, and I actually talked to a social worker who works with the homeless here in LA, and she said a lot of the problem is convincing people once they've been outside for a while to go back in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, once you've lived a life that has no rules and has no responsibilities, convincing you to go back to that, kind of hard.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like the people who go live off the grid, same thing. I probably, like, my favorite John Oliver show recently was the one on homeless. I want to be funny like John Oliver. How do I do that?
Get a good writing team?
Fuck. I don't know if I can afford that.
You just talked about your rates a minute ago. You could definitely afford some fucking college interns to write for you.
Do you think that I work 40 hours a week with that rate?
I mean, you could try.
Oh my God, I would die. I would die if I did 40 hours a week of sessions. My God,
Well,
it's way too physically and mentally taxing. I try. I also don't need to. Between my video sales.
Well,
and
if you're paying for writers, you do.
That's probably true.
Like, the Writers Guild rates are not cheap.
Interns, though, you said.
Yeah, but eventually they're going to try to join the Writers Guild, and then you're going to have to either hire new writers or actually like pay guild rates. And like, we support unions around here, so you should pay those guild rates.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm all for unionization.
So you just do a whole team, and then you can be funny about like John Oliver.
All right. I mean, like, I'm also honestly so for labor rights. Obviously, that's the whole thing that we fight for as sex workers. But like, my employees get 3 weeks paid time off from the moment they start. They get full health care coverage. They get contributions to the IRAs. Like, Just because it's porn doesn't mean that anybody's less valuable.
You a drunk podcaster? Like,
That 3 weeks PTO is pretty good, right?
Right. Sold. Last place I had 3 weeks PTO, I had to work at for almost a decade.
See, that's stupid. Did you know when you give people more time off, they tend to be more productive?
Oh, yeah.
Funny that.
Well, it's funny that it's also like you don't want employees to so deprived of PTO that they're going to come in sick, get other employees sick, not be able to perform their fucking jobs because they're fucking coming into work sick.
Or because they're having mental breakdowns because they're overworked and stressed, Like, it's just not good for anybody.
Yeah, well, and this is also part of the problem with our healthcare system. It's like, oh, hey, you got to work here 90 days before you get any health insurance. And, so you're going to have to show up sick. Like, if you happen to get sick in the first 90 days, suck it up, buttercup.
I feel it's ridiculous.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And one of my sister and my brother-in-law lived in the UK for quite some time, and my brother-in-law pointed this out to me while I was over there. It was like, socialized healthcare also helps with entrepreneurship, because like if you have a family, you can't necessarily afford to strike out on your own because you need that fucking insurance.
Right.
Well, if we had socialized healthcare, we could have more people starting their own businesses, and that's the real American dream, isn't it?
I mean, actually, democratic socialism helps to strengthen the economy. Like that's it's been shown that in lots of different places. Look at Denmark.
But what the normal argument of, well, there's so many less people in Denmark, then we can't handle it here in America.
As if the concepts aren't the same. We just scale them. When you make a recipe for 2 people, did you know that when you make the recipe for 20 people, you just add more ingredients? The recipe doesn't fucking change.
Well, I agree. And the whole argument of like, well, these other socialized healthcare systems don't work. Well, like, okay, cool. We can examine what doesn't work about them and not do that.
Sure.
That's the best part about not being first to market. You don't have to innovate. You can just improve on other people's.
Listen, I pay close to 35% of my income. I think I'm at 38% between federal, state, local taxes. And I don't mind, honestly. I would mind a whole lot less if all the money I pay, I only want 2 things. I don't care about anything else. I don't care how much money gets spent on, on the military or whatever, or who cares about any of these things. All I care about is socialized healthcare and lower price college. If I just had those 2 things, I would give 50% of what I made. And that's true for most everyone else.
I mean, I'd like to think that, but I don't believe it.
I think that more people would be, once they realized it worked. But also the thing is, I'm so sick and fucking tired of companies not paying their fair share. Like, it's ridiculous that Amazon paid less taxes than I did.
But Jeff gets to go to the space. Come on, don't we all want?
It's been 3 years now that my brain is not working today. SpaceX.
Oh, Elon?
Elon, there you go. It's been 3 years now that I have tried to track down Elon Musk at Burning Man. And I can't tell if I actually want, because I want to convince him that I would like to go to Mars, but also I wanted to seduce Grimes away from him, but now it's too late.
Did you hear Grimes bitching about that he wasn't funding her albums while they were together?
What the fuck?
Yeah. Like, what's the point of begging a billionaire if you're not getting some of that pie?
No shit. Oh my God. If I was dating someone who was it doesn't matter if they were talented or not, I would be supportive of their goals and their dreams. That's what happens when you're with someone in a relationship.
Well, especially when you have like I understand if like, hey, if I pay for your album, we may not make rent this month.
Yeah.
But when you're Elon fucking Musk and like, oh, hey, yeah, I could pay for you to press on fucking 100,000 copies of your album. No problem. And your session time and producers and everything. That's like walking around money.
It's fucking stupid. I mean, he probably made that much in the interest of the shares. for his own companies in one day as it would cost to pay for all that.
Yeah. And it's like, you allowed yourself to procreate with this man and he's not paying for your albums? What?
Hey, you know, we all make questionable decisions when it comes to relationships at least once in our lives. Or 10 times.
I'll let you know when I don't.
Okay.
If I were to count on one hand the amount of questionable decisions I made with relationships and the amount of times I haven't, yeah, I don't have enough fingers and toes for the questionable ones.
You know, yeah. I did the same thing. For years and years, like I made all these amazing decisions in the rest of my life. Like everything I touched just turned to gold, except I could not for the life of me choose male partners. Actually, just to choose partners at all that you know, that were good for me. And like I was so terrified, like so terribly aware of it, but I couldn't stop myself, you know, like if someone was nice to me or like really good to me, I, you know, in a romantic sense, I wouldn't even be attracted to them. I'd be like, no, you're too weak, soft, whatever. Oh. Right. And you know what happened is that my ass seemed to go to therapy. I went and did some EMDR and addressed my trauma and things got better. Like that's really the key to it.
Oh, I'm well aware. I'm well aware, but yeah, I'm much in the same boat. Last time I went on a date with someone who was like, "Oh, my mom's my best friend." I'm just like, I gotta go. You and I, yeah. What? Huh?
Actually, I have a spreadsheet, like a dating spreadsheet, for all of the things that like are important to me, you know, because there's lots of them. And one of them is how close you are to your family. Because if somebody is like super, super close to their parents or something, it's never going to work. Never going to work.
Well, for me, it's such a fucking alien concept of like, I just don't relate to that. Like, I don't have a bad relationship with my mother, but it's just like.
You're just not close.
Yeah. It's just like the idea of like my parent, like I spent most of my life hiding things from my parents because like they're my parents, not my peers.
Right. Not your friend.
Right. Like, I know my mother listens to this show at this point. Like, then she thinks it's amusing.
Hi, Mom.
And, you know, there's definitely a lot of things I learned from my mother. My mother was a lifestyle player. Like, and I definitely as a teenager, like my cousins came by the house and she's just like, threw a sheet over the rack in her living room. And she's like, don't tell them what that is.
I love it.
But it's just like, where all that shit's acceptable and like, I have no shame about it. It's just like, we're also not like, she's not my best friend. Mm-hmm. That the close, like, oh, hey, I'm going to, you know, go out of my way to like travel home for the holidays to see my family. It's like, what? Huh? It's weird.
Oh, same. I went and did a family Thanksgiving right before the pandemic. And it was the first time I'd been together with like my aunts and uncles and, you know, shit like this. And probably 15 years, like since before my grandmother died. And I was literally like so uncomfortable. I'm like my family knows what I do, and like there's certain parts of my family that like are much more into it politically, you know, like one of my aunts is very political. But I don't really want to talk about like what my work entails over mashed potatoes, right? Like I would like to have some aspect of normalcy, but I realized that I don't really have much in common with any of them. I was just kind of like, all right, so I'm flying out tomorrow and I'm going to fly into Chicago so that I can go to a sex party with my actual family. So I'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Yeah. I totally get that. I totally get that. I'm like, yeah, I think being in this world, like, it's such a double-edged sword for the dating, because it's like there's so many horror stories of dating people within the industry. Mm-hmm. But dating people outside of it's like, oh, we just don't have common life experiences.
It's almost like you have to have like congruent kinds of life experiences, you know, like I think that helps. although I've been toying on this idea for a while, is I think we need a dating app for people in the industry, because I would totally date another sex worker, like especially if our lives were pretty similar. Like, absolutely, girl, you want to come over here and we take over the world together and shoot some hot content and take a bunch of men's money. All right, sign me up. Like, sounds like a great first date.
We need a Raya for the industry.
Yeah.
A sex worker Raya. Exactly. Oh my God. I'm just giving away a fucking $1 billion app idea. Fuck. Fuck. I hate when I do that.
I mean, listen, if somebody wants to make it, cool. I'll be your brand ambassador as long as it doesn't suck.
You are familiar with Raya though, right?
Mm-mm.
It is like the celebrity only, very wealthy people dating app that you have to be sponsored to get on.
Gotcha.
It's supposed to be ridiculous. Like, just like, oh, hey, celebrity. Like, I have some friends who were friends with the devs who aren't celebrities who got on and was just like, yeah, I matched with people that I've seen on sitcoms and shit like that. And it was like, it's a fucking weird experience.
I mean, I also kind of imagine what constitutes what level of celebrity,
Well, it's completely up to the gatekeepers of the app. And any, sex worker positive only dating app would have to be also, but holy shit, because of how things go, people would be like, oh, the people running the app are biased towards these people. There's always that drama.
Yeah, but I have a, I've got several different kinds of groups, like the Wicked Alliance and stuff that require verification. Guess what? It's not that hard.
True.
Like there are some things that would kind of suck if you just first started and you didn't know anybody or you didn't have any verifiable, this, that. But if you're a sex worker and you're really been doing it well, you have a digital trail of it because you're trying to make money from it.
True. Yeah. Very true.
Yeah. So
I also know that if someone launched something like that, the amount of rich dudes that would try to just buy their way on. Be
100%. And the answer is no.
No. Not until your dick's on film, bro.
That's right. You go figure out how to keep a hard on for 3 hours in front of all the lights and crew and stuff. And, you tell me how it goes.
Can you keep your dick up with someone like me leaning on you? Can you? Because real male talent can.
Yep, sure can.
I regularly play D&D and hang out with Xander Corvus, and we joke about this all the time. One of the last times I was on set with him, he literally had to lean against me because there was too much oil as he was finishing.
That's amazing. I love it.
It's Matt, come here. All right, let's do it.
I wish that people who consume porn knew how unglamorous porn tends to be, because everything is about the production value, right? Everything is about making sure the lighting is right, making sure you're stopping and starting and there's no intimacy. It's kind of ridiculous. But the end product is just like Hollywood, it looks great when you're done.
Exactly. Anyone who's having, I've said this a million times, anyone who's having porn sex in real life, you're fucking up, because porn sex is supposed to be aesthetically pleasing, not necessarily what feels great.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, when I have sex, it still looks aesthetically pleasing, but.
Well, that's a clip. That's a clip right there.
Yep.
I found out the hard way very recently. When I have sex, it is not necessarily aesthetically pleasing. I hooked up with someone recently and she had 2 full-length mirrors on either sides of her closet, and I'm like, oh, I want to do you standing doggy in front of the mirror. I'm like, why did I decide to do this? This is a horrible idea. I mean, I still did it. I mean, it's not like I lost my erection looking at myself, but it was just oh, this is gonna be so hot. Nope, no, this is not what I really envisioned here. But
I mean, I don't know about you, but if there's mirrors when I'm having sex, I'm probably looking at myself.
Oh, I mean, I was definitely looking at myself and was yeah, she's hot. Yep. I'm not what I want to look at in the way of male talent.
I mean, but don't worry too much about it. Nobody really looks at dudes in porn.
Oh, I'm well aware. And this is just for funsies anyways, and it makes for an amazing bit, so.
Yeah? Did she enjoy herself? That's all that matters.
I mean, she came back for more, so I assume so.
I love it.
It was not a one-time deal, so, I'm assuming she had a good time.
That's good. That's good. Good job, man.
Yeah. It happens on occasion.
So I'm sure you probably heard of the OnlyFans revolution spin-off thing is dick ratings, right? Like everybody and their brother does dick ratings. I think these are hilarious because, like, obviously as a femdom, as a person who most dicks are ugly anyway. It's not often that you get like an actually beautiful dick, and it's probably an outlier. It's a mutant, right? Is that if someone wants to show me a picture of their dick and like pay for me to rate it, it's gonna be a 5 and under because it's a dick by nature, right? But I finally came up with the best idea. It was like, you know what? I'm not gonna rate any more dicks, but because honestly, your dick doesn't matter. You didn't do anything to get it. It's basically just like a genetic lottery. It doesn't mean you know how to use it or anything else, right? Is that you send me a video of you having sex with your partner with their permission, obviously, and I will rate you on your sexual prowess. That sounds like a great thing for me.
That is a solid plan.
Yeah, so like for dudes that are like, I'm so amazing in bed, I'm like, I will let you know if you are. Go ahead. I will give you an honest feedback.
Like, send the clip and the 2257 paperwork with it, and we'll go to town. I actually just discussed this with the guest that is on the current episode. I am starting pussy ratings. And in response to the dick rating challenge, I am going to rate vaginas. They're all 10s, but...
All 10. That's what I was saying. Newsflash, all 10.
But I will happily take your money to tell you it's a 10.
With a beautiful, validating response about the magnificent wonders of their pussy. I'm all over that.
Yeah, like, girl, I would shoot gallons inside of you. Like, oh, it's amazing. Thank you for the $10. That's all I'm charging, $10.
I mean, that sounds like a validation vending machine right there.
Yes. Would you like an average-looking dude who's on the internet all the time to tell you your vagina looks amazing? I'm right here for $10.
Sometimes what you do need is like the fix of feeling pretty good about yourself. So, I'd pay for that.
All right. I'll give you my Cash App.
All right.
Send it on over in $10. I will give you a rating.
I have very few pictures of my pussy because I don't get bottoms down naked. So
that's going to make me rating your pussy very hard.
So I'm saying I would have to actually like figure out how to shoot it correctly. I mean, you don't have to shoot too correctly. Rodeo, but
you don't have to shoot too correctly. I'm giving you a 10 no matter what.
No, it's for me. It's for me and my aesthetic necessities.
You like spend an hour properly lighting it.
This is one of the reasons, like, I've been saying this for a long time, is there is no good picture of a dick. There are good nudes, but a solo picture of a penis never looks great, right? But you can be a naked dude and have your penis in it, and then that can be great, So I just want to tell dudes, stop taking pictures of your disembodied penis and take more pictures of just you.
Yeah, but then would have proof that that's their mediocre dick.
No, I feel like that's more a representation of a person as a whole,
Yeah, no, I agree, but the whole dick pic thing is so silly, and in the grand scheme of things, it's fucking silly. Like, I don't get it. I've never intentionally sent one. I accidentally sent my first 100 dick pics recently. I dumped an SD card for a client, and unfortunately, I had done a photo shoot for myself in a bathtub on the same SD card and didn't realize it was there.
Oh, that's awesome! Were they just your penis, or was it like a whole bathtub?
It was like me in a bathtub. Like
that's not a dick pic. That's classy nudes.
Fair enough. I sent her 100 classy nudes with the content I had already shot for her.
I feel like that's a bonus.
I got a text back. Like, I talked about this on another episode recently, but I got a text back like, is that your dick floating in there? I'm like, yep, sure is. Sorry about that. To be fair, as I said previously, like, I edit her porn, so if anyone's gonna see me, in that state, it's like, well, it's fair.
Yep.
Would have preferred to like consensually send that to somebody, but if I'm gonna make that mistake, that's a person that's A-okay too.
I agree with that. I have, of the 3 people that have edited my porn in the last couple of years, I've seen all of them naked. So, I feel like that's good quid pro quo, because if they're going to see you naked, you should be able to see them naked.
Well, and to be fair, she rented the room the hotel room that I was taking the shots in anyways. Like, we were in Vegas and I had a client edit that came up last minute, so they ran out to like go do shit on the strip. And I'm like, I gotta do this fucking edit. My client wants it today. Thankfully, I brought my fucking laptop with me and like knocked that out, and they were still out. So I'm like, oh, there's a fucking whole bathtub with jacuzzi. I set up my lighting, set up my camera. Like, I'm gonna take some fucking cool shots of me in the bathtub. Like, set it all with red lighting and shit like that. And
why don't you have an OnlyFans yet? Because this sounds like content.
I don't, because I've never wanted to be talent.
Maybe you just want to be art.
I have a Patreon. I can put art on my Patreon.
Oh, okay. Are you going to put your nudes on your Patreon?
I feel like my audience that is mostly there for this podcast and gaming would super not appreciate it. I feel like that might like hurt my money a little.
All right. Well,
the finished product did go on my Instagram, like cropped where my dick's not in it.
Oh, all right. Well, I want to see this afterwards.
Oh.
I genuinely like good classy nudes of men. I think that celebrates a different side of men that we don't get to see as often.
Yeah. Well, the finished product ended up with red lighting, me in a tub with a jacuzzi smoking a cigar with a bottle of whiskey in the foreground.
This just sounds great.
Yeah.
Class act.
Low as a class. That's what I do.
You mentioned gaming. I assume, are you a PC gamer or a console gamer?
Both.
Yeah, same. So when you come and visit me.
Oh, that's just happening now? We're just deciding that's happening?
Why wouldn't you come and visit me?
Because your internet's freezing. That's why I'm not going to visit you, because you are frozen right now.
I'm just cursing, actually, so it's fine. No one really needs to hear me.
It's okay.
Spitting out expletives.
Yeah, you as I said, your computer's like, no. That dude, nah. We're gonna end this. Nope. Gonna die instead of inviting that dude.
Well, I am gonna have to go before too long, but I have to tell you one thing first. Okay, so when I got my new house, the one thing I always wanted to have was a video game room. Okay, and I always wanted to have a dual screen video game room because my partner and I both game, and I decided to make a spaceship room. I will show you the pictures of it, but it's fucking amazing. And not only is it 2 side-by-side 65-inch top-of-the-line TVs with space-themed paper behind it and like custom lighting, is that I also got a custom couch, and the couch lights up. Did you know if you Google spaceship couch, you don't find anything? It took me months to try to find something that would match the theme because I wanted the place to feel like you're playing video games in the bridge of a ship. And that's what it feels like.
That's amazing. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah. But I can only really do console gaming in there, so.
Why can't you do PC gaming in there?
Mostly just because I've got a beast of a PC in my office, and it would be weird to try to transport it, you know what I mean? So
just do some fiber optic HDMI to the TV.
Yeah, but it's a really long way away.
Do wall runs. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
All right. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I can also I have a spare computer that I've built, and I can always just set it up in there. I think I'm going to have to do that if I go to Twitch stream from that room anyway, right? Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm going to pick your brain about that. And I'm going to pick your brain a little bit about how to set up my Dungeons and Doms Twitch stream too.
Definitely. I can help you with all of that. So, but we will actually call last call since you said you got to run.
What is last call?
Well, where you can tell everyone where they can find you on all these things.
Oh.
You know, last
Okay.
call.
So the best place to follow me is on Twitter, and my Twitter is Domina Snow. I have 2 different websites. AlexandraSnow.com is my informational site and has links to basically everything. GoddessSnow.com is my member site, and which has most of my content. And if you're one of those people who really likes Instagram, Alexandra Snow Official. But Instagram kind of hates sex workers, so it's pretty toned down. Twitter tends to be the better place to, see all my smut. And it has the links to my OnlyFans, my clip stores, like my own VOD, wish list, ways you can contact me, blah, 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 whatever you need.
To spend that money.
I mean, I have lots of budget options as well. My OnlyFans is only $15 a month, and you get to communicate with me. It's a steal.
It is. Fucking, you could have a conversation much like this for the low price of $15.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but you can message me. I do live stream on my OnlyFans though, and let people talk to me and ask questions and stuff because I like being a real person. Being
a real person is important, not just being a sex object.
I know, not just a comic book character to fulfill sexual fantasies.
I know. It's really hard for me, but I've been trying to do that as well. Just be a real person and stop being just, this chiseled, picturesque comic book character of a person that people fap to. I don't know how well it's working, but I'm trying.
Mean, I like you. I think you sound like a real person.
Aw. Well, you can find this real person at Matt_Slayer on Twitter, Matt Slayer on Instagram, Matt F. Slayer on Facebook, twitch.tv/Matt F. Slayer. You can find the Patreon at patreon.com/Matt Slayer. You can find the podcast at And Now We Drink on Twitter, and Now We Drink _ on Instagram. And until next week, drink up, motherfuckers.